knowsbest.com. Welcome to Knows Best Weekly, where we talk about living on one nostril. Right now it's this one. This one's congested and I believe in a state of deep cellular repair, and that's why about 11 years ago, all my allergies and sinus infections and bronchitis and sleep apnea that was killing me left. So let's dig into a paper today. This is a summary of the nasal cycle. I think it's a really good compilation of many papers. There's about 100 and some papers here, almost, I think it's 199 that we'll quickly review. But first, a couple of housekeeping items. Number one, if you have a real problem with your nose, please see a doctor. Just please. Secondly, if you're in social media and you think you can help me get the word out or make suggestions, I'd love to hear from you. And then finally, if you're a clinician, go to knowsbest.com. The bibliography for my upcoming book is there. I have 102 references in that book, including the one we're reviewing today. And I would appreciate it if you would want to review it. I would be really honored to have you do that. But let's just dig in. What I'm hoping to show here is that there's a lot to be learned about the nasal cycle. This is a relatively new science. We're going to talk about the various factors that influence the nasal cycle, a little bit about how it was first discovered. And so let's just dig in. So first of all, this study was done in June 17th of 2018 by the Department of Neurosciences in Padova in Italy, and then by the Ear Institute in the United Kingdom. The background is this is just a paper where they reviewed other papers. So it's a really good generalist point of view about the nasal cycle that is apparent in about 70 to 80% of adults, which is generally agreed upon by most clinicians. It was first discovered back in 1895 by Richard Kaiser. He was a protege of Sigmund Freud. And they thought cycles had to do with everything, menstrual cycles, circadian cycles. Anyway, the purpose of this thing is to look at the various physiological and pathological conditions that affect the nasal cycle and can modify it. But the most important thing right here is this sentence. The understanding of the nasal cycle is still very poor. Yeah, well, let me tell you, there is no truer statement than that. That's putting it lightly. We'll go into that as we get into the paper. But basically, their conclusion is that it's a phenomenon that's recognized, that people are trying to understand, and so let's dig in. So anyway, this idea is that this congestion, alternating congestion, shifts from side to side in human beings. It's found in most mammals. It's observed in rabbits and dogs. But the true periodicity, a real true nasal cycle, only exists in about 20 to 40% of adults. And so this is a study of the research. This goes through 200 publications, roughly, going back to before I was born in 1955. This goes back to 53. And it didn't look at some papers written in German. Some really good papers have been recently written, and I'll explain just a little bit about where those show up and why they're so good a little later. So this is an example, and I think quite a poor one actually, showing the nasal cycle. And the idea is that the left nostril here is more congested while the right one is open, and then it switches later on. I've actually got a stylized version here that I came up with. This is probably a better concept, that if this is your left and right nostrils, they switch back and forth. One is open, one's more closed. And this is totally open, this is totally closed. And you can see there's just sort of a tendency there to favor one side or the other. My theory is nasal cycle optimization theory, which is that you can control not so much the periodicity, you can, but you can definitely control the amplitude and you control the shape of the wave. So having a square wave like this, when you're consistently congested all the time, like I am on this side of my nose right now, that's when you go through a deep repair cycle. And when you're constantly congested all the time, you're constantly repairing yourself. And it's when you do that that your allergies, sleep apnea, and I mean a whole host of things go away. That's my theory. It's optimization theory. So we'll throw that back here and keep on going through the paper. So let's just talk about this hypothesis on the role of what's happening. They think it might exist to top up the water percentage in nasal tissues because they dry out. It could be related to respiratory defense. I mean, there's all kinds of things that attack you, diseases, etc. And but also more recently, Dr. Nathan Bryant has been talking about nitric oxide. There was a Nobel Prize won in 1999 for understanding the nitric oxide as it moves through the various signaling pathways in your body. Your sinuses actually produce nitric oxide. So perhaps the nasal cycle has something to do with that. And then it talks about the other, there's patterns, like some people have a nasal cycle that's classic, goes back and forth. Other cycles, you're both congested, both open, so it goes like this. And then it's just irregular, and other people just don't even have it. So that's a curious thing. And so we're talking about the control of the nasal cycle. So this is this congestion, decongestion. It's caused by this vein, this tissue, that's this vascular tissue, and it basically expands and contracts, kind of like sexual tissue. We'll talk a little bit about this down here as well. Why does this happen? A lot of people think it has to do with hypothalamus activity or the vagal nerve. I think it's a little bit more simple than that. The newer papers talk about a flip-flop switch, like an electric flip-flop switch, and I think that's probably a better theory for a lot of reasons. But these are the things that will influence the nasal cycle. Age, when you're born, you don't have a nasal cycle. It starts to develop by age 3. It gets stronger as you in your youth, and then sometimes people, it will start to taper off as you get older. It's definitely associated with sleep. I can demonstrate that. We now have the technology to use the sleep software, and my nasal cycle is correlated perfectly with my sleep cycles. Posture definitely changes. Now, what I've discovered, it isn't so much the posture, it's what you're doing when you're in a certain posture, which changes the airflow. So I think posture is correlated, but it's not causal. But what you do when you are in a certain posture, that changes your nasal cycle. I can demonstrate that. Here it talks about mucociliary clearance. The nasal cycle has a marked effect on the clearance. Well, actually, I think that it's the other, kind of almost the other way around. If you control your nasal cycle, you control your mucociliary clearance, and you can actually clear. I can clear sinus infections manually, and have been very effective with that. Again, exercise has this influence. So I think it's what you're doing when you're exercising, typically breathing a certain way. And then it talks about smell, how you smell. I can tell you that my sense of smell has increased markedly since I did this. What's interesting too is when I smell certain things, I have memories that go back to my childhood. And there was a whole period of my life for about 40 years where I just had no sense of smell whatsoever. Humidity obviously affects, not as much as you'd think, because if you're breathing through one nostril correctly, you're sort of controlling your own humidity, even when it's very dry and high altitudes. I do a lot of high altitude skiing, and I'm no longer affected really very much by the altitude. And then this is another one too, estrogen. Also, some of the postpartum problems can exist where it'll affect the nasal cycle. People during pregnancy or after pregnancy, sometimes their state of allergies changes quite dramatically, which is really kind of interesting. Make sure my head's in the picture there. There we go. So let's just keep on going here. We're talking about, there's a relationship between the blood pressure and the nasal cycle. And once again, this is something I really am buying. The Germans have been working on this and made some really good progress, showing that basically your nasal cycle isn't so much a cycle as it just builds up until it suddenly swaps. It's kind of like an avalanche, and then it switches back and forth to the other side. In the book, I talk about the Japanese water hammers that they fill up with water and then they dump the water out and it taps. They use that to scare animals away. Well, that's a better example of, I think it's a better metaphor for how the nasal cycle actually works. So once again, age, it talks about here about children, and then with aging, you have there's changes in the elasticity of the nasal epithelium. I really think I can prove this wrong for myself. I think that you can actually, by breathing correctly, you can actually maintain the plasticity of your nasal tissue. There's definitely a correlation between sleep. I've done quite a bit of work on this myself. I could never sleep my whole life. I was a horrible light sleeper. Now I can't tell you how well I sleep. Posture, we've already discussed. Exercise, other factors. There's things like even things like light can affect the nasal cycle. Pressure in the inner ear. If you have infections, that can affect. And of course, let me see, drugs should be in here as well. Drugs will affect your nasal cycle. I'm a horrible non-fan of any antihistamines. Actually, if I had a choice, I'd have a prohistamine. But here it talks about various recognized effects. An acute upper respiratory infection will usually increase. It causes unilateral congestion, so it actually increases your nasal cycle. Once again, those periods of congestion are what's repairing yourself. So it makes perfect sense to me that you'll have more of a nasal cycle when you're under attack, because you're actually trying to heal yourself. What I recommend, though, is just heal yourself all the time. And then even during the periods where you're under attack, you're better at healing yourself. Your system is up to all this. So these are pathological conditions that affect the nasal cycle. Since I've been able to control my nasal cycle, I think I've trying to remember how many times I've been sick the last 11 years, but I can't count them on one hand. COVID for me lasted all of one night. I was able to clear my nose entirely, and I attribute that to having a really strong nasal cycle. Once again, my allergies have disappeared. Here it talks about allergies affecting the nasal cycle. I think it's exactly the opposite. If you control your nasal cycle, you eliminate your allergies. So once again, correlation is not causation. I actually think the allergies are caused by lack of control of the nasal cycle. Septum deviation, again, there's a lot of evidence this isn't really important. Although if you have a hole through your septum, that is a real problem, because you really can't get an effective unilateral congestion and really shut one side down. And the people that have that really are truly miserable. There's other pathologies, Parkinson's disease, people that have broken their neck. It affects the vagal nerve, and that is related to the nasal cycle. One of the things that I recommend for keeping like one side congested, I'm starting to switch nasal sides, but you actually do what's called the crutch maneuver. You put your fist under your armpit like this and then pull up like you're on a crutch. It'll cause this side to be congested and the other side to open. I recommend that for people that are doing sales work or tech support work where you're talking all the time, because you're not breathing through your nose, you're not sending the right signals. And this is something that will actually help you get congested on one side and stay congested so that you stay in that state of repair. So those are some other things that affect the nasal cycle. So anyway, there's ways of analyzing the nasal cycle, measuring it, but the one I like absolutely by far the best, and I'm not doing a good job of highlighting this, is computational fluid dynamics. What's happened is our ability now to actually model the whole system is really strong. And in a former life, I was involved in founding an airline, and got to actually fly with Burt Rutan, his asymmetrical twin. I have an hour of time in that plane. And a strong, or should I say an optimized nasal cycle does, is it increases the airflow past the ostia, which are related perpendicular to the airflow, which causes more Venturi effects. So you're actually sucking stuff down from your sinuses better. So computational fluid dynamics is, I think, that it's best to just model this. We can actually model airplanes right now. better than you can actually make an actual model and see how it works. In other words, the computer does a better job of figuring it out. So I'm very big on computational fluid dynamics when studying the nasal cycle. So we talked about drugs and how that affects this. Let me see here. What else are we talking about? Non-invasive techniques for assessing, but once again, computational fluid dynamics. You can see that you can literally take a picture. I'm working on a video to actually show this thing in motion. I'm taking the left and right-handed image and having it morph back and forth. Nobody's actually created a video of that. I'm going to create that and get that out there. So anyway, once again, this is a summary of the nasal cycle, just that it exists, what people think influences it. But going back to the main thesis of this paper back here, we can go right to the beginning. The understanding of the nasal cycle is still very poor. So frankly, as a non-clinician, but a person who's spent most of my life investing in biochemistry companies, and I can tell you there's a lot to learn about the nasal cycle, and there's a lot I can share with you to help you. I think that will profoundly help you. So anyway, nose best, my friend. Breathe through one nostril at a time. Always be congested. Congestion is your friend. When you're congested, you're going through a state of deep cellular repair. And if you do that right, you cannot damage yourself as fast as you heal yourself. Nose Best Weekly, where we learn nasal cycle optimization theory and live on one nostril at a time.